America's favorite sport has become identifying who's the low man on the totem pole. That's to say, who is at the bottom of national esteem.
I'm relieving the burden of student debt.
And despite the president's best efforts, there's no question who's on the lowest rung right now. College parents.
Joe Biden's in trouble, and what he's doing here is he's throwing a bone to the millennial voters, and he's trying to get young voters back on board.
Amid the proliferation of pro-Palestinian encampments on many campuses, the parents of college-bound kids have been weighing whether to pay as much as $90,000 for 1 year of tuition, room, and board.
I have seldom experienced such disdain, disregard, and contempt for a minority group than the way in which Harvard treats its Jews at Harvard.
Now imagine you're the parent of a child whose graduation ceremony was wrecked by the oh-so-self-important protesters. If college-paying parents weren't already feeling like the nation's biggest suckers, they soon will.
In an historic first, the NCAA and nation's Power 5 conferences have reached a deal to pay their athletes.
At the end of May, the National Collegiate Athletic Association announced a multi-billion-dollar legal settlement with former college athletes who filed lawsuits claiming they were denied direct payments for their services or lost endorsement income.
For years, for decades, student athletes were told they could not make a cent.
Cost-wise, the payments to these thousands of former and current athletes will approach $2.8 billion.
We've seen lawsuits, court rulings, state of California, other states saying, wait a minute, we want these athletes to be able to make money on their name, image, and likeness.
And while the endless unanswered questions will likely drive it to the Supreme Court, virtually all the legal analysis of the settlement concludes that the days of the amateur college athlete are over. In the future, the men and women on Division I teams likely will be regarded as professionals who will be paid to play by universities through revenue-sharing agreements of up to $20 million a year. Meanwhile, smaller schools may be forced to rethink their sports programs.
A lot of schools that are not defendants in the litigation are going to have to pay part of it, including schools that maybe aren't making a fortune in sports.
We all get that the universities have made money off of student athletes for decades, but that doesn't change the social reality of where this is headed. If your kid wants to go to college to become a civil engineer, they will take your money. But if she's there to play basketball, they, with help from your tuition, will pay her.
We have also taken on the issue of student loan debt.
Meanwhile, following Joe Biden's Supreme Court workaround, the endless forgiveness of college debt now totals $167 billion for 4.75 million past borrowers.
The president said, well, I'm going to go and do it on my own to the extent I can without Congress or without the courts supporting this.
Today, parents who play by the rules, pay crushing costs, derive no income from their kids' name, image, or likeness must be feeling like the biggest saps in the United States. Want to guess who they're voting for in November?
I will keep men out of women's sports.
This is happening, of course, because major college sports, like pro sports, continue to attract big money from large live and TV audiences. Years ago, when pro and college sports were becoming more about product than simply performance, I decided that smaller Division III schools were the only place to see genuine amateurs. Whether football, basketball, baseball, tennis, soccer, you name it, the performance level was always high. Big-time universities of the sort affected by the NCAA settlement have become a mess of politics, money, and status.
Those who are in charge of universities, who negotiate with pro-terror protesters, are not doing their jobs. Taxpayer dollars have no business funding universities without principles that align with the principles of this country.
Perhaps trapped college parents will start opting to send their kids to a less expensive, less ostentatious Division III alternative. Colleges that modestly believe they exist to teach. Even club football has unforgettable moments.